Hello, and welcome to episode 164 of the Casual Try Hard podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm James.
And I'm on a new setup, so
Ta-da!
my video looks super fancy.
Oh, hey, did we check and make sure that we had voices coming through where they needed to be?
Yes,
Okay,
I made sure.
I think we just didn't that conversation in the pre-show, so I just wanted to verify.
Yeah. But today, other than talking about if we know what we're doing and recording, the content gods from Wizards of the Coast gave us a band announcement.
Ta-da! We have a BNR. Completely unexpected.
So we'll talk about BNR and whatever else comes up in that time. So if you want to get at us, all of our social media stuff is in the description, so you can track us down and interact with us and say, hey, we've got big plans.
Maybe. We'll see if they come to fruition. We've had lots of big plans, and not all of them work out, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
If you're interested in hearing about those big plans, you should join our Patreon. Patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG, because the patrons get to listen to our pre-show. And we talked all about an idea that I borrowed, something. We talked about an idea in the pre-show. And if you want to hear about it, head on over to Patreon, chip a couple bucks in. You get to listen to us ramble for a little bit extra every week. You get access to our show notes. It's not a whole lot of show notes this week, spoiler alert. But when we do have show notes, you get access to them. And you also get put on my mailing list. Every couple months, I send something out to our patrons, just as kind of a thank you. Lets you know that we appreciate you. So if you want to get added to the list, if you want to check out the pre-show, head on over to patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG, chip a couple bucks in, and we'll go from there. Another way you can support us is our TCG player affiliate link, tcg.casualtryhardmtg.com. Follow that link, sign in to TCG player like normal. Anything you purchase, we'll get a percentage of to help keep the show going, pay our hosting fees, yada, 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 yada. Helps us out a lot, so make sure you check that out. Also, we have our YouTube channel where we are now publishing a video edition of the podcast where you can see us. Hey.
Yeah. Hello.
YouTube.com/ or I guess that's not it, but CasualTryHardMTG on YouTube is where you can find that at. Also, we're trying to post up some gameplay stuff, so check some of those videos out. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment on the videos. Let us know what we're doing right. Let us know what we're doing wrong. Both ways help us out, so head on over there and check it out. Got anything else before we get into this surprise BNR?
I don't think so. I think we can get right into it.
All right.
So, in their defense, apparently, from what I've seen, there was an announcement last week that there was going to be a BNR.
I did not hear this announcement.
This announcement may have just been like Gavin just yelling out his car window at 70 miles an hour and like...
It's coming!
Yeah, in Washington State, but... Yeah, I had no idea. The Discord was talking like, "Oh, hey, man, these bands really surprised me," and I was like, "What are you talking about, bands?"
Yeah.
And then I went and looked, and I was like, "Oh, okay then." So they actually made bands across 3 formats.
Yeah, kind of crazy.
Kind of crazy. So first band, I guess we can talk about the first 2 kind of together.
Yeah. It's the same card and kind of for the same reasons, right?
Yeah. So in Pioneer and in Modern, Loris the Dream Den has been banned.
Good riddance.
So Loris has now gotten the full Oko.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah, there are, other than Vintage, there are no places for you to play Loris.
And you can't play Loris in Vintage?
Loris is unbanned. They unbanned Loris after
sure that's right? I don't think that's right.
I thought it was right. I thought that it got unbanned after they added the 3.
I don't think so.
Checking.
Sure it's super banned.
It is legal in Vintage according to Scryfall.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize they unbanned it.
It is Yeah, they unbanned it after they added the 3. I remember this because they were like, it's super weird. There's like the only banned cards are anti-cards and Loris.
Yeah.
So we're gonna unban it and see how broken it is. And apparently, adding the 3 mana in Vintage was enough to get rid of to make it not good enough.
Yeah.
That 3 mana was not a hindrance in any other format.
So let's talk a little bit more about like this ban, and then remind me to talk about 3 mana because we talked about that a little bit in Discord today.
Yeah. So basically, this is almost like the birthing pod ban for in Modern. So when you look at Pioneer, they're basically like, well, it's not a problem yet,
right?
But we're gonna print more 1 and 2 mana cards
eventually, like in every set.
In every set, and the way they've been printing 1 and 2 mana cards recently, right? Like they are going to just like print a 1 or 2 mana card that is busted with Loris.
It's almost like they didn't want to wait around and see what happens with Loris and experimental synthesizer.
Yeah, which Loris is still legal in the fake format of historic, right? But like I put together a Mardu like Oni called Anvil, Hidden Stockpile, experimental synthesizer deck, and made sure that everything was under 2 mana or 2 mana or less, so it could be a Loris deck, so you could recycle synthesizer, right? Yeah, so they can't just leave it because as they print more stuff, it's just going to break eventually.
Yeah.
So I reference Birthing Pod because us old timers remember when Birthing Pod was like one of the pillars of the Modern format.
It absolutely was. It was almost the pillar. It was like Pod and Twin.
Yeah, and then they were like they printed Siege Rhino, and they went, "Yikes! Yeah, no." And so they were like, we're going to set up a banned Birthing Pod. So Birthing Pod is 3 and a Phyrexian green and for an artifact and activates for 1 of the Phyrexian green. And you can tap it, sack a creature, and find a creature with converted mana cost 1 plus the sacrificed creature's converted mana cost.
Yep.
Sorry, mana value.
Mana value.
And so you just like build these chains where initially it was like they were built as usually like value chains, and then you could build the deck in such a way that you had combos. So you had Malira Selvak Outcast that says creatures can't get neg1 counters, and then like Kitchen Finks.
Yeah.
And so then you would like have a sack outlet like what's his name?
Viscera
Seer. And so you would sack everything, gain infinite life, scry through your deck, and you would put a red cap on top. And then you would kill your opponent with a red cap.
Yep.
And they were just like, so there's that, which was fine, but they're just like, anytime we print a creature that's good,
it has to pass the Birthing Pod test.
Yeah, it goes into Pod. Yeah. So we can't leave Pod around, because if we do, then all of our creatures have to not break Pod.
Right.
So we've just decided to eliminate the thing that can break.
So you can
we can just go hog wild.
And they did.
Yes. And look at all the creatures since cons, they did lose their mind.
Yeah.
So that's why they ban Loris, and Pioneers are just like, yeah, like we can't always worry about like in design, oh, we can't print this because of Loris.
Yeah.
And then we have the ban in Modern. So why did they get rid of Loris in Modern?
I mean, basically the same reason. It was making all the decks the same.
Yeah.
There was a hard question you had to ask yourself when you were building a Modern deck, and that was, is this card really worth not playing Loris over? And
the answer was almost always no.
Yeah, realistically made the format exclusively 1 and 2 mana spells. So
yeah, depending on where you looked, I think like the Goldfish numbers said that Loris was in 35% of decks.
Yeah.
Wizards only took from decks that were that had 4 wins or better in leagues, and it was 31% of decks.
Yeah.
So basically, a third of every modern deck.
Though.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like we have banned cards for less market share.
Yeah.
And it's market share that you had to like draw your card. Like, Deathrite Shaman got banned, and you had to draw one of your 4 Deathrites. It just wasn't always nominally in your hand.
Right.
A 3 mana tutor in your hand at all points. So they basically were like, the format is all the same. You can't play cards that are more than 3 mana or more than 2 mana, and that just cuts off, I don't know, what is that? Is that probably like 70% of all Magic cards?
Yeah, I mean
80% of all Magic cards.
Yeah, it might even be more than that. It's an absurd amount. That not that like anything super high mana value you're really gonna play in Modern anyway, unless you're like Tron. But yeah, it cuts off a huge amount of the format. Like, you can't play 3-drops, man. Like, 3-drops are kind of the bread and butter, or what used to be the bread and butter of Modern.
That was the top.
Yeah,
was 3-drops,
and now with Loris, you're not allowed to.
Yeah. So like Saffron Olive brought this up in his video that he talked about it today, right? Like, now Hammer Time can play swords. Right? Like, the equipment deck wasn't allowed to play swords because of Loris. Or they can play a Batterskull to go get with their Stoneforge. They can play Cauldra. Right? Like, they can be like, oh, I can have... So Hammer Time can have all the hammer stuff, but it can also just have Cauldra as well. Where like, oh, hey, my hammer stuff's not looking like it's going to work. That's fine. I'll just, like, get my Cauldra.
Yeah. But, like, honestly, I think that makes it a better, maybe not a better deck, but, like, better for the format in general.
Yeah, it makes it different. Yeah. And, like, the Loris ban is interesting in that while decks were constrained by Loris, they weren't built around Loris.
Right. There was a lot of different ways to use it.
Yeah, so it's not like if you banned Primeval Titan, right? Well, then you just ban all the Primeval Titan decks. Right? If you ban Loris, you just... The person gets one more sideboard slot in their Hammer Time deck.
Yep.
And just plays Hammer Time.
Yeah, they just move on with life.
Yeah, same with like the people that were like playing Loris in Burn. Alright, now you just keep playing Burn.
But you have an extra Rest in Peace.
Yeah. Like it doesn't like invalidate any decks. The thing it does is like Loris was that thing for like, oh man, everything's gone super sideways.
Yeah.
And we're somehow on turn 8.
Yep.
I guess I'll spend 3 mana, and the next turn I'll play my Loris and like get some value.
Yep.
Right?
It was your escape
and
match.
Then yeah. And now those decks lose that, which is probably better for the format in terms of like you don't have to like Hammer Time doesn't have as much of ability to like have that like built-in automatic late game.
Right.
Same with like the Grixis Death Shadow decks. Like there's still gonna be good decks, but you don't have that like built-in.
You're not gonna rebuy your dress down every turn.
Yeah. And like, Mishra's Bobble.
Yeah.
Right, you're not gonna have that like Loris Bobble engine that you just, oops, I guess I have a way to always
I'm gonna draw a card.
Draw an extra card.
Keeps.
Yeah. So, like, it does take care of those things where, like, you know, Loris was your escape hatch, but sometimes it was also just your way to get ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, we're at parity on turn, on turn 4. I'll put Loris in my hand, and next turn I'm just gonna, like, Loris Bobble, draw a card.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll slowly, like, gain value, and you can't kill anything else in my deck before you kill my Loris, so it'll be nice, like, well, it won't be Boomer Jund. Liliana is unbanned.
Yes. Unshadow
Right,
banned.
so, yes. So, while Loris got banned, it did kind of unban all the cards that were 3 CMC or greater.
Yep.
So, there might not be a ton of them. Like, I don't see... Well, you can play Swords in Hammer Time. Or, Cauldra. Or whatever. I don't see, like, those going in big numbers.
No, I mean,
but it definitely...
like you said, it probably stays pretty close to the same. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw, like, a Batterskull or a Cauldra in the main deck. And then maybe a couple Swords in the sideboard. But I don't think that deck really changes all that much.
Yeah, exactly. Same with, like, Grixis. But, like, now you don't have to ask yourself the question, okay, would I rather have Batterskull in my deck? Or would I rather have access to Loris?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now you're just like, oh, like, I know there were times that I wanted Batterskull or Cauldra. Now I, like, can put it in my deck.
Mm-hmm.
So, that is a net positive for the format. Because I haven't played a ton of any Modern in, like, 2 years. But, like, I've paid attention, and there's always just, like, I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm just gonna have to, like, look at Loris in the companion zone for the rest of Magic.
Mm-hmm.
This is not okay.
I mean, that's kind of what we said, like, as soon as Ikoria came out, though.
Yeah.
His companions just completely changed everything, and it's not something you can hit the undo button on.
Yeah, I mean, this is, for a single mechanic, like, this is maybe the most bans around a single mechanic. Maybe Phyrexian Mana has it beat, but I mean, you've got Loris banned in all formats.
Yep.
You've got Zerta banned in Legacy. And then they had to errata the entire mechanic.
Yep.
Like this is by far their biggest mistake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty telling that they had to functionally errata the entire mechanic to keep it in line.
Then still ban a card.
Yeah. Multiple cards.
Yeah. Ugh. Somewhere, Sam Black sent an email today to someone that just went, see? Told you.
Told you so.
In case you forget, Sam Black was on the was one of the outside consultants they brought in.
Yeah.
To, like, help test. Was it Modern Horizons? Was it Modern Horizons 2?
No, I thought it was Modern Horizons 1, but I don't know if...
No, because Modern Horizons 1 was... Oh, maybe. Because I guess they would have known about Loris beforehand. And basically he was like, I can't test your format because all I should be doing is building Loris decks.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, just ignore that. He's like, no, you don't understand. This is all you can do is build Loris decks. No, it's fine. No, it's not.
Yeah.
And he lost that, clearly.
Obviously.
And so, obviously. But clearly he should have won.
Yeah.
So
we actually talked about this for a second in Discord today also. The Sam Black thing. Because we were talking about the companions and, what happens to some of the other companions or whatever. And we started talking about the 3 mana thing that I wanted to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And how, like, with Loris gone, can you go back to the old companion rule?
So that was my first thought. Because in my head, I had stricken Yorion from my mind.
Yeah.
Right. But if you look at the other companions, you have what's his name? Jengatha, which sees play, but not a ton. Like
it only sees play
kind
when
of
it's a free roll. Like nobody's building their deck to be a Jengatha deck.
But if their deck in the end is a Jengatha deck, sure.
Right.
I guess I will. Right. And then there's Yorian sees play.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's what's the green-white one?
Kahira,
right? So those 3 see play. Right? And the rest of them don't.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think that's pretty safe. So I was like, oh, like, it seems like the deck building constraint with the ones that are left is actually a cost. So, right, are we cool with just the taking the 3 mana off? Right? Like, you took the most offensive one out.
Mm-hmm.
But someone brought up, like, just, like, the Yorion decks on turn 5.
Yeah.
Just always having...
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's probably a problem.
Yeah.
Same with, like, having just, like, a free 5/5 that you get to cast on turn 5.
Mm-hmm.
Is probably not good. I don't think that it changes, like, the Kahira math.
Yeah.
Right, because Kahira, every so often, the people that play the Elementals decks, there's like there's an Elementals deck, and they will, like, have Kahira.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time, Kahira is just a Teferi pet.
Basically.
And you just...
creatureless control deck.
Yeah. That's just like, well, I guess I'll just have this 3/2 because why not? Kind of like the Jengatha thing of, like, it's free.
Yep.
Like, I wasn't going to play any creatures anyway.
Yep.
So, like, I think it would allow the Oboshes and Gyrudas and the, whatever the Karugas of the world to get played.
I don't know if it would let them get played, but it would at least let people think about them, where currently people don't think about them.
Every so often, you'll see, like, an Obosh deck.
Yeah.
In Modern, but not really. Right? Because, like, the Obosh decks are like, I'm all one drops and the occasional 3-drop.
Yeah.
And then I have this. And it's like, cool. But you're all 1-drops and you have to dump 8 mana into this idiot to get anything? Like, I don't think this is what you're about.
No, definitely not.
Like, you're playing 19 lands and this guy says, please spend 8 mana over 2 turns. I don't think that's going to work out for you.
Yeah.
So it would help them and would just let me know Gyruda off 2 Lion's Eye Diamonds.
Mm-hmm.
But it just makes Yorion so much more miserable than it already is.
Mm-hmm.
So they probably can't, but it would be nice if we could go back to what is written on the card.
Mm-hmm. So the other part of that is what you were saying about Sam Black and how I think somebody had mentioned the drawback of Yorion, like having to run 80 cards. And shortly before we knew about Ikoria, I don't know if you remember some of the work Sam Black was doing as far as, like, deck building in Modern. Like, he was on kind of a push that, you know, some of the mid-range and control decks should be running 80 cards anyway. Like, 60 cards wasn't the optimum number of cards. Do you remember any of that?
I saw you talk about it. I don't remember it. It is slightly sneaky that, you know, he may have seen Yorion.
Yeah.
And then been like, you know, we should be playing 80 cards in all of our decks. Not 70, not 10 more. 20 more.
Yeah. I'll if I think of it, I'll try and look up and see if I can find any of that. I remember at least one article and at least one video with him talking about, just deck building stuff in general. Because he's known as like a deck builder. That's very much his thing, as he's a brewer. And he kind of drew a lot of heat when he was making those claims from people. Obviously, like, it's been 60 cards forever. Like, why would you think that now all of a sudden it's okay to run 80, or that it's even optimal to run 80? Like, his argument was that it's optimal to run 80 cards.
Is it just because you need access to more different things, and so starting with 80 cards, you get access? You at least have access for your, removal spell when. Your situational removal spell when that situation arises.
Yeah. I have to go back and remember, read some of the stuff and remember again. But I believe it was in the mid-range and control decks, you're normally not just playing the top portion of your deck like you are in an aggro deck or a combo deck. You're setting up some sort of engine to dig into your deck to find pieces. And in those circumstances, running more than 80 or more than 60 cards is a lot of times ideal. You're seeing such a large portion of your deck, and it's worth more in deck building to have access to more different things than it is to just, kind of pigeonhole yourself with 60 cards.
Yeah, if you drew 40 cards of your 60 card deck, seeing your third fatal push is not as valuable as, seeing 2 fatal pushes and whatever, the other removal spell you put in your deck was.
Yep.
Huh. Yeah, but also it's just funny that, 80 cards, and it's there's this great big sky noodle that wants you to play 80 cards and be ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it is just so shocking that they can that they play tested these things and just missed that they were busted.
Yeah, makes no sense. Well, I mean, obviously they didn't miss it. There's multiple people that told them that this, not just Sam Black. There's multiple people that told them that these are not okay.
Yeah, so I guess miss it is not the right. It is frustrating that they let the thing out the door.
Yeah.
After they were told, this is a problem.
Yeah.
Because basically they spent the last 2 years. Yeah, 2 years trying to fix this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I still don't think they have.
No.
Right? I mean, they took the most egregious one and got rid of it, but has anyone enjoyed playing against a Yorion pile?
No, I don't think so.
I think the person playing it when they're draw 12 cards, right? They enjoyed it, but the rest of us were just
blink all my elementals.
Yeah, it's okay, draw 12 cards. It's but I'll deal 16 to all of your creatures, and I'll swords those 2, and I'll draw 6 cards. It's just
I'm gonna shuffle both our graveyards into our libraries.
Yeah, because I'm gonna deck.
Yeah,
because I've got these 7 Resident Rift triggers on the stack.
Yeah, full priority.
Yes. Now, I was just thinking. I was trying to go back through my mind. So it was Throne.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was Theros Beyond Death.
It was.
And then it was Ikoria.
This is correct.
Was this the worst stretch of design in Magic's history? Maybe not design, balancing of cards.
I mean, it could very well be. What's weird is that the entire rest of of Theros is fine.
I guess it's just really
Uro and Breach.
Croxa.
Croxa's not even that egregious. Croxa's fine.
Yeah, I guess Uro and Breach. And is there? I'm trying to think if there's something.
Maybe Thassa's Oracle.
Thassa's Oracle.
I mean, that's even closer to correct though. That's not Thassa's Oracle. What's the worst thing it done? Made Doomsday playable.
Yeah. Well, I think that the problem with Thassa's Oracle was like if you looked at the like design story, like how they designed that card, it was a situation where they made the card with the like it enters and scries, and they were like, "Well, it's a rare; it needs more text." And they just threw the "you win the game" text on it. Like they even said, like, yeah, they said it needed something more to be a rare. Like it wasn't like they had like there was any intention behind putting the "you win the game" clause on it.
Yeah,
it was more just like, yeah, we wanted to do more than just enter and scry X. So, because I guess it's just like what's that card? Is it Omen Speaker?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just like a blue Omen Speaker without the "you in the game" text on it.
Yeah.
Like at its bare minimum. So like there were a handful of cards that were not great. I don't know, I think like I don't know, something that Patrick Sullivan talks about is just like playing against the same card over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think that they like thought that the escape mechanic was like you would do it and then much later you would get it back.
Yeah, you wouldn't have the opportunity to do it every turn.
Yeah, that you would just kind of do it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And also, like, Crookswood was, like, obscene with, like, Loris.
Yeah.
Where it was just like, cast it from a graveyard.
Yep.
Every turn, I just have, like, a discard spell or, like, a deal 3 for 2 mana.
Or both.
Or both.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But, like, you have that, then you have, like, the companions in Ikoria. And, you know, if you look at Standard, what's his name? Coppercoat Outcast or whatever his name was? Luca? Like, that didn't do anything good for anyone.
Winota?
I think Winota is a victim of Agent of Treachery.
Yeah.
Like, it's an okay Pioneer deck.
Mm-hmm.
It would be fine in Historic. But they don't want to have it on Historic. Or in Historic. But like, yeah, like Winota. But if you want to go to just like, hey, let's, you know, let's not make cards that give you like 15 mana worth of free stuff every turn. Like I think if Winota triggered once, like if one or more non-human creatures attack, trigger. I think that card is fine, but the fact it triggers on every non-human, and you're like, I'll attack with 4 things, and I basically demonic tutor my deck for a creature, is probably not where they should have been. Yeah, or they would have put like mana value 3 or less on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would have been fine also.
Yeah, any number of things, but they just miss so many, or we're told about things and we're like, nah, it's fine, it's good. Right? Because what was the set after Ikoria? That wasn't Strixhaven. Strixhaven was last year.
After Ikoria was
that was a core set, right?
It was
a core set.
Oh yeah, core set then Zendikar.
Yeah, and that core set was forgettable. Like I don't remember
core
anything about it.
Core 21 that was the one with Grim Tutor, I think.
Oh yeah, that was the dog one. Was when the big thing was we went to dogs.
Was that one?
And they put, yeah, I think so, because like didn't it have Containment Priest, or was that the one before it? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember.
They've all run together.
Yeah, Ugin was Ugin in that one. Yeah, Ugin was in that one.
Okay, but you don't have, but like that chunk was just like horrific card.
Mm-hmm.
Like 2 cards that have had to be banned out of like Magic, basically. Right, they got relegated to Vintage.
Yeah.
Now, again, in Oko's defense, to make sure he's still number 1, you can't even play Oko in Historic. You can play Loris in made-up format, but still.
They haven't done digital errata to Oko yet?
No, he didn't get digital errata yet. Like
coming soon to Kamigawa Neon Dynasty Alchemy.
It's just gonna be like Oko in a mech, and it's just gonna cost like 3 extra mana.
Turn target vehicle into an elk.
Yeah. Turn target vehicle you own into a mech.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just got rid of Loris. We decided that it was a bad idea.
Yep.
Which I don't know why did it take this long? Like, Loris has been a problem for a long time in Modern.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why now? Like, Loris has been a problem since, like, 3 months after.
I think they said either in this article or somewhere that they wanted to see if Modern Horizons 2 would level the format out.
Okay.
And it kind of did. It's just that it leveled the format out with 4 different flavors of Loris.
Yeah. So, alright, so what's the problem? Okay, Loris is our problem. Okay, okay. 1 or 2 mana cards here. So how about we print a 1 mana 2/1 that's both a draw and a mana engine?
Yeah.
That should take care of the Loris problem.
Yeah.
Now, I guess none of the pitch elementals or whatever were 2 mana. But
right, but you had like Loris was Hammer Time, Loris was Death Shadow.
Mm-hmm.
Loris was the Ragavan decks.
Mm-hmm. Well, not the blue green, not the blue red Delver decks,
yeah. What else was a Loris deck? There was one more too, I think.
Burn.
Oh yeah, Burn.
Not that it got a ton from MTG from Modern Horizons. I don't think it played Dragon Rage Chandler.
No,
I don't think. I could be
maybe not.
So I'm looking. Death Shadow, Hammer Time, Burn. I'm just looking for like the Loris archetypes. So those were the top half of the top 6 decks on Goldfish were Loris decks.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jund.
Yeah.
So, and Jund is 9th. So, and then Prowess is 12th. So, 5 of the top 12 decks were Loris decks. And like we said, like you can still play Death Shadow. You can still play Hammer Time.
Mm-hmm.
You can still play Burn.
Mm-hmm.
You can still play Jund. You can dust off your Lilianas.
I mean, in my opinion, that's a win. You get to play actual Jund instead of what's the opposite of Zoomer Jund? Zoomer Jund?
I mean, you still have to play Monkey and Dragon's Rage Chandler.
That's all right.
Okay, so the difference between Boomer Jund and Zoomer Jund is just Lily?
Well, and Bloodbraid.
Yeah, well, I don't think we're going up that far up the curve.
No, I don't think Bloodbraid's particularly playable right now.
Pump the brakes on 4 mana. 4 mana hasty creature. Calm down. Oh, and then there's 15th is Rakdos.
I don't know that like Jund is gonna keep Dragon Rage Channeler.
It may not, right? Because I mean, again, I don't know how you look at Dragon Rage Chandler and Ragavan and go, yeah, this will fix their Loris problem.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that's reasonable to think that'll fix your problem.
Yeah.
But so yeah, like it is good that the evil cat is gone. Now, so they did. I thought it was funny. So they did the modern ban for Loris.
Mm-hmm.
They did a little paragraph about Pioneer.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had a section just for companions.
I didn't even notice this. What's this say?
While Loris's presence in Modern and Pioneer are large enough for us to act today, the rest of the companions are seeing a play rate that is in line with a diverse and healthy metagame. Like other components of their environment, we'll continue to monitor them for undesirable and repetitive gameplay, make individual changes as necessary. So, Yorion's
the only other one that might be a problem, right?
Yeah, and I was going to say Yorion gets played in Blink, gets played in 5-color Omnath, and those are the only ones with that they put Yorion as like the picture card.
Yeah.
In the Goldfish breakdown, and I'm like looking for Yorion elsewhere, but I do not see Yorion as a picture anywhere else. So, oh man, Mill lost Loris of the Dream 10. Oh man,
darn,
that's rough. Sorry. And then like Death and Taxes,
yeah,
has Yorion. Like why? So, yeah, I think we're just gonna I think it's just gonna be this weird thing where like you have decks built around Yorion, and then decks free rolling Jengatha, and same with like Kahira. It's like free rolled. There's gonna be one that's built around, two that are free rolled, and the rest are unplayable.
Yeah,
which is probably fine.
I mean, realistically, that's probably what they were going for in the first place.
Probably. I don't know. I don't know if they wanted people to free roll them. You know what I mean?
I mean, as long as people weren't free rolling all of them, like I think that's okay. Like I don't see free rolling Jengatha in a control deck as an issue, or Kahira.
Yeah,
like that's.
But it's just funny. Like so, blue white affinity is a Jengatha deck, and it's just it's like, yeah, it's. Everything costs 1 pip, and they're playing, Springleaf Drum and I'm sure Spire of Industry.
Yeah.
So we can just play Jengatha just because if everything goes wrong, 5/5. I still have my 5/5. Yeah. So that's a little weird, but it's not detrimental.
Right.
So, all right. And then the next banning, or set of bans, was in Pauper.
Yeah, so what happened in Pauper? We had 2 cards banned and 1 card unbanned? Is that what it was?
Yep. So, they got rid of Galvanic Relay. So this is the 2 in a red sorcery. Exile the top card of your library. During your next turn, you may play that card. That has Storm. So basically it was just a way for people to like bank a bunch of cards for their next turn to go off.
Yep.
And then Disciple of the Vault.
Because Affinity wasn't hit hard as they had wanted.
Yep.
It also picked up a new toy with Experimental Synthesizer.
Yeah. And then we have Expedition Map got unbanned. Because they felt like they hit Tron too hard.
Did they say that? I thought they said that they felt they hit it hard enough, and with the other bands, they wanted it propped back up just a little bit. I don't think they said they hit it too hard.
So they do their little spiel. However, we'd also be happier to see a little more Tron than we do now.
Yeah.
Consistent threat of Tron at the top of the metagame is not ideal, but knowing that it's there and you could face it is something we believe to be healthy.
Yeah.
So they took like 3 cards out of it. In the last ban cycle.
Yeah.
And they decided basically that made Tron not a big enough part of the metagame. So let's see if we can give them back map to get them back in the metagame.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is that you're turning lots of knobs at the same time. and it's hard to get a predictable like result from that. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
If you're hitting a ban for multiple decks like they did here with Storm and Affinity, like you have to make sure that whatever is next in line isn't another boogeyman. So if Tron was sufficiently nerfed with Bonder's Ornament and Prophetic Prism, like that might not be the worst deck to prop up just a little bit in the power vacuum.
Yeah, no, I think it's a thing of when they did their initial set of bans, which I don't remember what they all were, right? But they like went after Affinity, they went after Tron, right? And they went hard after Tron, right? And so, right, to be like, you know what? We went a little bit too far on the Tron thing. Let's make it so it's playable. Because I think they just got it to the point where it really wasn't realistically playable.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, let's come back a little bit, get it to the point where like you can actually like play it, and we'll see how it like shakes out now that we've also knocked down these other decks. So the Galvanic Relay they said was an issue because apparently there's like there's the black-red Storm deck that like apparently was like the winningest deck in Pauper. Did you see what the win rate was for it?
Yes, like 60% or something.
Yeah, 60% non-mirror match win rate, which crazy. Is absurd. And it wasn't the most played deck in the format.
It was like 59, right? Or 60.
Something like that,
right around there.
Yeah, but like this was like absurd.
Yeah.
So they don't want to get rid of all the Storm cards, but they wanted to get rid of this and make you work. So apparently people are like storming off with Marauding Blight Priest and Weather the Storm.
I don't know, man. I really dug that Cycle Storm deck you were talking about. Was it last week or the week before?
Yeah, they actually brought it up in this announcement.
Yeah.
I ordered Reaping the Graves today.
Yeah.
Just in case. You never know. I might have to reap some graves. But yeah, so they, like we said when Chatterstorm was spoiled, they basically just always ban the cards that like say Storm on them. And like Galvanic Relay, I think has seen play in like some Legacy Storm builds. Like the card is nutty.
Yeah.
So like it's just like, hey, here's this card that's good enough for Legacy. Enjoy it in Pauper. So what's going to happen? Well, I'm just going to draw 7 cards going into turn 3.
Yeah.
And I guess I'll kill you from there.
We'll figure it out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll figure it out. I'll have access to 14 cards. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
So, I mean, makes sense. They want to get rid of that. And they talked about how they didn't want to get rid of like some of the rituals. So, because it gives Pauper a legacy-like feel.
Yeah, that's odd. I mean, I get it. It's just like an odd ban philosophy.
Yeah, well, we have to get our heads around that formats now like Pauper, right, aren't competitive formats.
Well, I mean, there are no competitive formats anymore.
There. Shots fired. Shots fired. But, right, like, you're maintaining a format like Pauper so that people continue to enjoy playing it. You're not maintaining it to what's the word? To like
diversity.
For competitive diversity, right? You're maintaining it because people enjoy it and they don't want it to be broken.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how Legacy is maintained now. Well, if it's maintained.
Right.
Right? It's kind of like you think of it as like this is for not competitive diversity, but for I want to enjoy playing my format Please make the monkey go away.
Yeah.
Oh, well, the monkey's win rate's not that good. I
don't
know, but it's miserable. Make the monkey go away. And they're like, fine, monkey goes away. And I'm sure that it's like, look, yes, like, Galvanic Relay is cool and all, but, like, there's tons of decks I can't play now because of Galvanic Relay, because I just get clowned. So can we make it go away? And it's like, well, we can make the rituals go away, but it's like, no, like, the rituals are cool, and lets me do powerful things, but, like, I don't like the fact that my opponent draws 12 cards and then kills me the next turn. Can we stop that, please?
Yeah, just that portion.
Yeah, I guess we can make it so they don't just draw 12 cards. So, I'm fine with that. Like, it makes sense. Disciple of the Vault is funny. So, they were like, all right, how can we take care of this problem with Affinity? And they were like, a Tog. Cool. It's like, oh, no, Affinity's too good. Disciple of the Vault. And it's like, oh, you so close. We even talked about what the problem was. But then you were like, nah. So, when we talked about the Atog ban, I had said, alright, Atog's not the problem. Problem is you printed Modern Horizons 2, and you printed a bunch of common artifact dual lands.
Yeah. Yeah, because, like, the originals are too good for the formats they're legal in. But you're going to make new ones.
I mean, the originals are legal in Pauper.
Right, but they're not legal in Modern.
No. Yeah, they're too good for Modern because they come into play untapped.
Yep.
Modern is too fast, see monkey, for you to play a tap land on turn 1. So these are fine, and they'll let us have Affinity as a draft archetype. Cool. No problem. But the thing that broke Pauper wasn't a Tog, and it's not Disciple of the Vault. It's the artifact lands.
Yeah, a Tog was fine since Antiquities.
Yeah. A Tog did nothing wrong, but it was the artifact. They even talked about, like, where's it at here? That we talked about the bridges again. We aren't afraid to ban them, but reached a similar conclusion to last time. They're enabling one of the format's only viable control decks thanks to their synergy with Cleansing Wildfire. And we're trying to do a surgical approach of banning just one or two of the bridges. There's no guarantee it would actually solve the problem.
Yeah.
Untapped artifact lands are another similar surgical approach, but those cards actually do open up the deck to hate, like Mox Monkey, Gorilla Shaman for the youngins. So like they're like, yeah, the bridges are a problem, but like they work with Cleansing Wildfire, so let's just like keep banning crap out of Affinity. Like, there's gotta be another, like, when an artifact goes to the graveyard, do a thing card. Right? There has to be. Where you can just feed, maybe it costs 3 mana. Or something, where you just feed artifacts to it. Like you don't really fix the problem, you just, like, shift it around.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, we know what the problem is.
If that card doesn't exist, that's totally something that they could print, like, in the Brothers War.
Oh, absolutely. Like
they could make a Disciple of the Vault at, 2 mana.
Yeah. Like, 1 in the black, or black.
Yeah.
Cool. Like, they do that. Now, the other thing is it might not be at common.
Yeah.
Right, and that might be its only saving grace for Pauper, because, like, Double Masters version that they use in the article is an uncommon.
Yeah, but isn't, like, the opposite of Disciple of the Vault, isn't that a common? The 1 in a red.
Yeah.
Every time something ETBs.
Reckless Fireweaver.
Yeah, that's common, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like you can get something that is basically Disciple of the Vault, and you have the same problem. Right? It comes down to we've given you too many artifact lands. And that is a problem. And like their like solution is like, oh, we want people playing cards like what was it? Gearseeker Serpent or Carapace Forger, right? And it's like like
Sure.
I don't think that like that's not what people aren't gonna play Gearseeker Serpent. Like they're gonna be like, okay, fine, you're making me like
I can't make
play
that
affinity
free.
creatures.
I don't want to play that.
Exactly. Like, no, I'm just gonna like play free cards.
Yeah.
Right. This is you do realize this is the third card that has been banned out of Affinity since Modern Horizons 2 was released, right?
What was the first?
I have it in my head. It's the Mirror Enforcer with artifact land cycling.
Oh, I guess
The
I
big
didn't realize
salamander?
it was banned.
Yeah. It's banned in Pauper too. They have banned 3 cards out of Affinity. And they still are banning cards out of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you like? We know what the problem is. Just fix it.
No, they're just gonna dance around it like they did with Hogak and Oko and
Any number of things.
yeah.
So yeah, it like makes sense that they are like we've gotten to this. There we go. Sojourner's Companion. That is the card that was banned.
Oh, gotcha.
The 7 mana 4/4 with affinity for artifacts and artifact land cycling.
Yeah, what is that thing? Is that the word I can't pronounce, right?
It's the salamander?
No, there's another. Isn't it like a Mexican word, like an axolotl or?
Oh, an axolotl. Yeah.
Is that what it is? Was that right?
Yes. It definitely looks like one.
Yeah.
So apparently, random story time. The biologist I know pretty well went into her lab the other day and just have a bunch of them because they got 2 and they thought they were both female. Oh. Then they had 100. Then they had 130 of them.
Holy moly!
And they have 4 or 5 left now.
Wow.
But yeah, they're just hanging out. Just like, well, that thing's pretty cool.
I mean, you got a lot of tanks. Did you bring one home?
I've not brought one home.
No.
I'm doing a bad enough job taking care of my current aquatic animals to add another one. Like in the course of like 2020, we added a cat and a baby to the collection of animals that needed to be taken care of in the house.
Brian's menagerie.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need to add. Wow, cool. I don't need to add another one of these guys to the mix. Just as another thing for me to be like, did we feed that today?
Did the turtle eat that today?
Yeah. At least the baby lets us know if we haven't fed him. It also demands that we turn on the TV immediately when he wakes up. Probably not good.
Yeah.
He wakes up, he has stolen my wife's phone so that he can watch cartoons. But
it's a little young for that.
He only watches one show.
Yeah.
Tayo the Friendly Bus. It's a dub of a Korean kids show that and Netflix only has season 3 and 4. Don't have access to seasons 1 and 2. And
probably doesn't matter.
When the theme song comes on, he gets happy and claps and dances. And and then just like goes about like his day until the outro song comes on, and he gets happy and dances, and then waits for the intro song for the next episode. But if you pause it or like he turns it off on the iPad, he just goes, "Uh-oh," and it makes you turn it back on. So, yes.
So maybe with all your newfound computing power, what you should do is clip out the intro and outro and just make a super edit that's like an hour and a half long. Intro, outro.
Someone beat me to that.
Oh yeah,
because I think, or at least Hannah just like was playing the intro song on a loop in her car, and like she came and said, "What are you doing?" I just let him listen to the theme song. It's like, why? He was mad. I'm like, okay. So I saw this video that was it was kids in the car with mom versus kids in the car with dad.
Yeah.
And kids in the car with mom was like them listening to Wheels on the Bus and like kids song, and the kids in the car with dad was like rap music, and both of them just like bobbing their heads.
See, it was classic rock with my dad.
Yeah, it's like he gets like the occasional like early 2000s music,
mm-hmm.
and then just magic podcasts and like magic YouTube videos just being
played. Marshall.
Yeah, exactly. This is Luis. Luis is proof that if you're like one of the top 5 people in anything in the world, you could have a career. Just pick your thing. Pick your thing, buddy. Be top 5 in the world, someone will pay you for it. It'll be fine.
You get to do basically whatever you want.
Whatever you want, as long as you're like the best.
Yep.
No pressure.
That's not a dig against LSV either. I think LSV is awesome.
No. And then, so they got rid of these 2 cards. They got rid of, like we said, the Storm card and the card that they don't have to ban the bridges.
Yeah.
They're just gonna get. They just want to fit it to just turn into you like playing like 4 Mirror Enforcers on turn 3. That's okay.
Well, and then they can't ban all the cards out of Modern Horizons 2. Like, what's gonna move singles?
Fair, but I mean, the secondary market doesn't exist for them.
Well, I mean, the cards have to get to the secondary market from the primary market.
This is true. I mean,
I do believe it is still in print.
Oh gosh,
I don't know if it's technically in print, but it is definitely still available through distributors.
Okay.
So,
but you also have cards that are on the pseudo, let's say, watch list, which is Moon Circuit Hacker and Experimental Synthesizer, which we brought up a few times.
Mm-hmm. Crazy. All these brand new cards.
Yeah, so Fire Design.
That's right.
So, arguably the best deck, or at least one of the best decks in, well, from the math it wasn't, but like Mono Blue Fairies, like the old Ninja deck, where like they used to have to use Ninja the Deep Hours. Now they get Moon Circuit Hacker on top of that. Right, so like you have on turn 3 you can attack with your Spell Stutter Sprite and pick it up for 1 mana.
Yeah, seems pretty good.
And then be able to Spell Stutter Sprite something.
Right.
So yeah, it's so it just makes those mono blue tempo decks way better. And then Experimental Synthesizer is just the ridiculous card when you sack it to a Deadly Dispute.
Yeah, it's crazy. Card's nuts.
Yeah. Like 1 mana, draw 2 with a little bit of work is really good.
And like has more text than that. Like,
yeah, like
a 1 mana draw 2 that also triggers all your enters the battlefield and leaves the battlefield abilities. And is a non-creature spell. And in a pinch, like, makes the samurai.
Yeah. I love how everyone just reads this, like, that second paragraph is just not on the card. Yeah. Right? Like, right? They could have made this card without the samurai text.
Yeah, I mean, I have certainly like won the games to samurai beats, but
yeah, no, I've absolutely used it too. But like the card's a fine card without the samurai text, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's is it Mycosynth? What's Wellspring? No,
Ichor Wellspring.
Wellspring is what I'm thinking of. Yeah,
that's 2 mana.
Yeah, I mean, it does the same thing though, right? Draw a card when it ETBs, draw a card when it leaves.
It draws, yeah. Where this like does like the impulse,
yeah,
or impulse, draw. But like that would have been a fine card without the samurai text. Like the samurai text, just like it's like, oh, you can't sacrifice it on your own. Don't worry, we got you.
We got you.
And it's like we could have done without that. So like, I think they're gonna keep having these issues where, because of Fire Design, they keep printing commons that are at an uncommon power level.
And uncommons, they're at a rare power level?
Yes. Right, and then rares are just weird, right? Like, there are some rares that you're like, why is this a rare? This is trash. And then there's other ones that you're like, why do I have to play against this in limited?
Hullbreaker Horror?
Sense. Yeah. Like, why are you a rare?
Yeah.
Like, I guess you're a rare, so you're not $45.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't understand. So, they're, like, Synthesizer, right? That's another card that's, I'm sure, in Affinity. Right? Like,
I don't know why it
like,
wouldn't be.
Are we gonna ban Synthesizer so we don't have to ban the lands? Yeah, like, I don't understand. So,
I mean, at this point, like, the deck's digging pretty deep for payoffs, though, I would think.
It is. They're like I said, they're trying to fundamentally change it to a like a deck that is based on like cards that say Affinity on it.
Yeah.
And not like, you know, the just fireball you out of the game stuff.
Right.
So, all right. I think does this make a show?
I think we have a show. Yeah, we got there.
All right. So, if you want to get at us about stuff we've talked about, anything about New Capenna that you've seen that you're interested in, we're going to maybe touch on that next week. You can find how to get a hold of us at all of our social medias in our description.
Yeah. There's also a link to our Discord down in the description. And like we mentioned a few times, a reasonable chunk of what we talked about today was stuff pulled out of Discord. Initial reactions from listeners and questions that we had in the Discord. So if you want to join in, make sure you follow that link, hop on over to Discord. Also, we mentioned at the top of the show we had an idea that is going to be born from Discord if it comes to fruition. So you're going to want to make sure you're in our Discord channel for a whole bunch of different reasons. If you want to support the show, though, we have 2 different ways you can do that. Our TCG player affiliate link, tcg.casualtryhardmtg.com. Head on over there, use that link to get the TCG player. Anything you purchase after that will help support the show. You can also support us directly at patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG. Patrons get access to our pre-show where we talked about this idea that I had borrowed, whatever, that hopefully we'll be moving forward with. You also get access to our show notes, and you get put on my mailing list for when I send out mailings to thank you all for helping to support the show. We have been digging into the world of content creation a little bit lately, beyond kind of what we like normally talk about, looking at like the world as a whole and trends and stuff. And it seems like we're ahead of the curve as far as like I don't know how I want to say it. Engagement, I guess.
Trends.
Yeah. And that's thanks to you guys. So thank you all. Thanks our patrons. I do have one favor I want to ask of everybody, and that is, if you like the show, one of the best things you can do to help us grow our community, grow the show, is to share us. So if you know somebody that's, looking to up their game a little bit, turn them on to us. or other way around. No, I was right the first time.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Turn them on to us. Share an episode that you think might be relevant. Share us to your social media if you find an episode that you really liked, really hit home, and help us grow a little bit. Every little bit helps, so we would appreciate it.
Yeah. So with that, we'll catch you on the internet.
We'll catch you on the internets.